Disclaimer.
This better be good. I'm in the middle of making a video that I should have had out at the beginning of July. Oh, hang on. No, it's Twitter. Alright, let's see what... Oh. So if you've been online these last few weeks, you might have noticed a couple of film-related topics were trending. DC released a bunch of trailers for movies like their new Batmans and that remake of a film that released 3 years ago.
You're gay.
I'm vengeance.
And also, apparently they've started putting movies back in theaters again. I wonder how long that'll last. And there's this boycott Netflix hashtag that's been floating around for a bit now. What's that whole thing about? Well, let's get you up to snuff real quick. Earlier in 2020, Netflix bought the rights to distribute a film called Cuties, a coming-of-age film that premiered at Sundance, a film festival for snobs and cinephiles, two groups whose Venn diagram is almost a circle. The film was so well received that its director, Maimouna Doukhan, won the directing award for the festival's drama competition, so naturally Netflix swooped in to capitalize on that. The film itself is about an 11-year-old Muslim immigrant named Amy, who lives with her family in a poor section of France, and follows Amy's progression as she's torn between the traditionalist culture of her household and the internet-influenced culture of her neighbors, a group of girls known as the Cuties. Now hang on a second, this doesn't sound like such a big deal, so why the hell's everyone so mad? Oh, it's about the movie poster. Alright, well hang on, let me go find it, it can't possibly be that bad. Oh, good lord, it's actually really bad. So the geniuses at Netflix decided the best way to advertise their coming-of-age movie centered on 11-year-olds is to make a poster where these literal children are dressed and posed like strippers? I mean, Jesus Christ, how is this poster more provocative than the posters for Spring Breakers and Hustlers? Now, thankfully, there's still a corner of the internet that has more brain cells than I have toes, because the web rightfully got beyond pissed at Netflix for promoting a film that looks like a wet dream, at least according to the marketing material. This outrage has reached a point where people are trying to ban the film entirely by signing petitions and sending death threats to the director. You know, as the internet tends to do. Now, as of recording, this film hasn't been released yet, but according to those who saw the movie at Sundance, the movie actually discusses the topic of how children are being over-sexualized in the modern era thanks in part to internet culture, while additionally being loosely based on the director's personal experiences as a refugee. But of course, most of us wouldn't know whether or not that's true since, as of recording, once again, the film hasn't been released for most of the world, so most of us haven't seen it. Now, it doesn't really matter if this film is a commentary on the hypersexualization of kids, or if Netflix is just putting out straight-up bait. Because either way, the question is still this. Why would Netflix market any film in this way? I mean, the original poster for this movie gets the premise across significantly better than the American one, so why would you change the poster to be more controversial? Well, it's simple. Aren't we talking about Netflix right now? Doesn't talking about Netflix and what new controversial film they may or may not be putting on their service right now make you a little curious as to what other films and shows have been recently put to Netflix? Isn't me saying Netflix a lot of Netflix times in this Netflix video making you Netflix think about Netflix? Because the truth is, that was the goal the entire time. In his video, Woke Brands, hbomberguy breaks down how modern advertising functions. Basically, since we're no longer hooked to the TV, newspapers are on life support, and nearly everyone uses an ad blocker to surf the web, there's only one reliable way to get your brand seen by potential customers, and that's social media. Here's a clip where hbomberguy talks about that infamous qehh boycott of 2017.
This, internally for qehh, was initially thought of as a terrible accident, all these angry people harassing qehh employees and even the brief, though ultimately insignificant stink of a boycott. But, secretly, everyone was looking at how much attention qehh was getting.
You know what shows up a lot when there's a big hashtag about boycotting qehh going around for days? The word qehh. The story about what qehh did and how people feel about it. And it turns out that this is very similar to marketing. Some people want to support qehh for the nice thing they did. I mean, they took a stand by pulling some ads from one TV show for a while. And then there's the people who suddenly realised that they could do with a coffee machine, since everyone's talking about them lately. And then there's the flip side of almost every boycott, which is the people who destroyed the thing that they own, realising that they quite liked it, and hey, no one's really paying attention to whether or not I obey this boycott or not, so maybe I'll just get another one. It doesn't really make a big difference. And then of course there's the simple fact that people don't tend to go on with boycotts for very long. It happens.
In other words, it's not as if Netflix didn't know what they were doing when they put out this scandalous poster. This American poster was designed to spark outrage. Across the socio-political spectrum, the one thing that almost everyone can agree on is that children should be protected from the cruelties of the world. Knowing this, Netflix has intentionally managed to piss off almost everyone and spark what Bomber Guy calls a real mercial. Your outrage, your hashtags, and your social media posts exist almost exclusively as free publicity for the Netflix brand, which once stood alone as the king of the streaming hill, but now must fight off the barbarian hordes of Disney+, HBO Go, Amazon Prime Video, and Disney but in green. And let's be real here, these so-called real commercials were always going to be the inevitable future of advertising. By cultivating outrage with the intent of sparking internet trends, you get all the benefits of shock marketing, while still getting to play the hero by amending this horrendous oversight. And if you don't think this poster choice was an intentional means to boost the brand financially, then check this out. Here's a couple of tweets of people being mad at Netflix, which inevitably started the Boycott Netflix hashtag. Tons of tweets like this entered the platform, and thus brought attention to the issue. Notice the date of August 20th. This is roughly around the time when this issue started being noticed. And now, here's the stocks for Netflix just as the hashtag Boycott Netflix started trending. Gee golly gosh, what a coinky-dink. Now don't get me wrong, it's not as if their stocks were tanking before this or anything, but I'm positive that Netflix definitely appreciates any boost their stocks can get. In the marketplace of ideas, outrage and memes are the currency that boosts brands. And it's working for Netflix just as it worked for Keurig, Lipton Tea, Gillette, Nike.
Baby nuts.
Oh, sorry, I mean
Peanut Jr.
And even the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
You used to call me on the cell phone.
I mean, come on, are you seriously gonna tell me that Trump didn't get millions of dollars in free publicity just by saying horrendous shit on a daily basis during the 2016 race for president, and thus constantly having the spotlight on him in the news cycle? I mean, be realistic. What even were Hillary Clinton's policies? I'm willing to bet most of you can't tell me, but nearly every single one of you can tell me Trump's policies of building the wall and banning immigrants from entering this country. And thus my point is proven. The modern market demands that you advertise yourself by trending on the social medias. And Netflix understands that just as much as any other brand. They don't care if they've potentially ruined a director's career before it even got started, just as long as their stocks stay high and dry. So while you're boycotting Netflix like they want you to, you should like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and follow us on social media. If you behave yourselves, you might even get that Hamilton video I promised y'all before the end of the year. Also, there's this weird link to a second channel that's been put in the descriptions of all my videos, but like, I definitely don't have a second channel, so please do not subscribe to that other channel linked down below in the description. Okay, thanks, bye!